Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today I want to share with you my quarterly stats and quarterly favorites of the first quarter. It's a little bit late already to be coming up, but I have had a busy schedule recently, as you may know. So I just wanted to get this filmed and up for you so that I can get on with the upcoming videos. I always love making these statistical videos and I always love seeing them myself, so I want to make sure that I prioritize them. I'm always pretty good at making sure to make one in the first quarter and second quarter, but then closer towards the end of the year I'm a little less good at it. I mean last year I definitely forgot quarter 3 and 4, so 4 I hardly ever do because I end up doing the favorites of the year and sort of talks about everything that my favorites of all of the year and the quarterly and the yearly statistics instead. But yeah, so let's start out with the statistics first. In the first quarter, in the first 3 months, I ended up reading 42 books. A total number of pages being 14,378 pages. That equals to about 342 pages per book. In terms of genres, I ended up reading 4 sci-fi books. I read 15 fantasies. I read 9 contemporaries, which is more than I usually do, I think. I read 4 urban fantasies. I read 2 historicals. I read 2 magical realism. I read 3 non-fictions. That is definitely more than usual. And I read 1 horror book and 1 mystery book. In terms of format, I read 4 books that were hardcovers, 7 books that were trade paperbacks, 4 ebooks, and 21 audiobooks. Obviously that is the biggest spot. It's always the biggest, largest category. And then we have 6 graphic novels or manga. In terms of length, I ended up reading 32 regular novels. I read 1 novella, I read 1 novelette, I read 6 graphic novels, I read 1 poetry collection. One that was written in verse. I consider that poetry, I don't know why. And I read 1 collection, short story collection. In terms of age group, I ended up reading 21 adult books. I read 12 YA books, 8 middle grades and 1 kids book. Funnily enough, I read exactly 14 books in each month of this year. So it is strange that it was so like the same. I don't think I've ever had that happen before. I usually am between 13 and 16 books a month, but that I hit 14 each month this year is weird. The largest book that I read I still haven't unpacked my read book, so you'll have to see covers, but the largest book that I read this year so far, or this quarter, was Night Shadow by Sebastian de Castell. This one is 600 and something pages. I didn't write down what it was. Then I have the shortest book that I read was Os to Oscar for Evigt, or The Two of Us Oscar Forever by Bjarne Reuter. This is a Danish kids book, and I think it was a 90 something pages, 82 pages or something, between 80 pages and 100 pages, somewhere in that mix. Yeah, in terms of the year that they were published, I read 2 books that were published in the 80s, 1 that was published in the 90s. I read 10 books that were published in the 2000s, 1 from 2010, 11 and 12. I read 3 books from 2013, 2 from 2014, 2 from 2016, 3 from 2017, 2 from 2018, 7 books from 2019, 4 books from 2020, and 3 books were published this year. In terms of page length, I read 7 books that were between 100 and 199 pages. Then I read 6 books between 200 and 299 pages. Then I read 17 books that were between 300 and 399 pages, which is the average book length, so not surprising. Then we have 9 books between 400 and 499 pages. 2 books between 500 and 599 pages, and then I read 1 book that was between 600 and 699 pages. In terms of my serious reading, I read 16 that were standalones and 22 books that were part of a series. Out of those 22 books, there were 7 of the books that were a start to a new series, which I've talked about how bad I am with the series that I start and not finish in recent videos, so you can go and watch that. I have 3 videos talking about the ongoing and started series that I have. I moved on in 14 series, or 14 of the books was the next in a series. I DNF 3 series and I caught up to 1 and I completed 1 series. In terms of my ratings, I had 1 book that was a 1.5 star, I had 1 book that was a 2.5 star, I read 3 books that were 3 stars, 6 books that were 3.5 stars, 15 books that were 4 stars, 4 books that were 4.5 stars, and 11 books that were 5 stars. So I've definitely had a pretty successful first quarter in terms of quantity. So I'm really happy about that. In terms of location of where I got the books from, 36% of them were from the library, 29% was from Storytel, which makes me happy because that means I haven't spent a lot of extra money on the books that I did read. Free libraries are free. Storytel, I pay a certain fee every month and have free access to books, sort of like Script. And then I read 9% from awesomebooks.com, so that is my used book kind of thing. Then I had 5% that was from Book Depository, 5% from Amazon, 5% from Kindle, and 5% from Audible, as well as 5% from Saxo. I don't know how many that is. I think it's 2 or 3 books per category. And then I read 2.5% that was from Humble Bundle. And I know I read a graphic novel that was from Humble Bundle, and I think that's the only thing, so that must be 1 book. And in terms of author country, it is still like terrible because I still read like 60% of my books, they were from a United States author. It is difficult because there's so many things that are talked about and hyped up about that are American authors. But I did also read 17% that were UK based. Then I read 10% that was from Japanese. That's all the manga that I read basically. And then I read 5% that was from Canada, and then I think 2% or something was from either Denmark, Sweden, Singapore, and Poland. I think there was 1 book in each category. So yeah, for the first time I decided to try and track some diversity elements, and I definitely could do very much better, but I'm also very harsh with when I say none in diversity. So I have 48%, about half of it that doesn't have a diverse element, which I definitely could do better. I have 28% that is a combo, so it could be both sexuality and a different cultural background, or it could be a disability as well as a different cultural background or something like that. So yeah, so a lot of them are definitely a combination of more diverse elements. And then I have a handful of both disability, race, and then a few with mental illness and author only. So yeah, but I definitely know that I can do better with my diversity aspect of my reading. So these are all of the statistics. Let's talk a little bit about the books that I end up giving out 5 stars to. I'm only going to mention the ones that are newly read, because I also reread a couple of books. So we have Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson being the first one. Then I read The House on the Cerulean Sea, which by T.J. Klune, which I also gave 5 stars to. Then I read Full Metal Alchemist Volume 17 by Hiromu Arakawa. Then I read From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. This is a standalone contemporary romance kind of thing. Then I read Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Then I read All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. Then I read Night Shadow by Sebastian de Castell. Then I read Full Metal Alchemist Volume 18. I read Hunger, a Memoir on My Body by Roxane Gay. Then I read Full Metal Alchemist Volume 19. And those are all of the books that I rated 5 stars. So in terms of my top 5, coming in as number 5 on my list is Hunger by Roxane Gay. I didn't know which one actually to put here because I thought it was a difficult choice. The 5th book on this. I also thought about a Full Metal Alchemist volume, but I've forgotten what happens in which of the volumes, so I didn't want to pick the wrong one. Not that they were bad, any of them, they were all 5 stars, obviously. But this one is a talk about being a plus-size woman, and someone talking about trying to lose weight and always being judged by others by the appearance because you are plus size, and talks about, yeah, just different experiences of hers over the years. And it was super enlightening and super interesting, and I'm really looking forward to reading other stuff by Roxane Gay in the future. There was a specific section where she was talking about personal space kind of thing that resonated very much with me. It was something about her when she was out at book tour or something, where she was talking about one of her biographies or something like that, and she was at this after having talked about her book, and someone coming up to her wanting to say she was really eager and happy with having read one of her books, and she was like, I really want to hug you, and she was like, yeah, I don't want to offend you or anything, but I'm not a hugger. And she was like, yeah, but I am. And then she just hugged her anyway. And I thought that that whole conversation about personal space was just super interesting, and something that really resonated with me in a way. And I definitely don't understand if people can't understand when someone says, I don't want you to like give me a hug. I don't want that. I don't feel comfortable. I feel very uncomfortable with someone else actually giving me a hug that I don't know. Let me be the one who does that if necessary, or something like that. And it was really interesting. There was also, I also really like cooking on your own. There was also a section about cooking on your own, and that one is definitely something I relate to, because some days when you get home and you just don't feel like cooking, and what are you doing? You're going to the easy solution. And I like cooking, but I also just don't think it's super fun to just cook to myself. So I felt a lot about that whole section as well. So there's a lot of things that I took away from this for sure, and really enjoyed it, and obviously it was a 5 stars for me. So I'm really looking forward to reading other books by her in the future. Coming in as number 4 on my list is going to be From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. This is the 3rd book I read by Mariana Zapata, and I have not read a book that was below a 4-star read, so I definitely tend to really enjoy her books. The first book that I read by her was Culture, and that still remains to be my favorite, but that is also because I sort of felt very a personal connection to the main character. In this one we are following a girl who is a figure skater, and she has what was one of the best singles figure skater, but one has become a doubles, and then was sort of let down by her partner and hasn't really had anyone in a while. And then she is partnered up with Lukov, who is also the best figure skater from the men's side in the doubles. And they obviously become partners, and they sort of hate each other, but then obviously turns out that there are some miscommunication between them that led to them hate each other, but they slowly form a friendship that turns into more. And I love Mariana Zapata's way of creating a romance, how she develops them, as she takes so much time to develop their relationship and the characters. So we really get to know them and really get to root for the romantic element in here. Usually it's around the 85% mark or something like that, that the romantic element sort of, that it starts to become a romance, or it starts to become involved in a relationship kind of thing. So it takes a long time, and these are generally close to being 500 pages. So yeah, you definitely have some time to sort of be with these characters, and I just super enjoy this one. Next up, coming in as number 3, I have Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is it is a fiction book, but it reads very much like a memoir by Dean Atta himself. It follows this young boy who, it's a coming of age story, but it follows this young boy who is trying to figure out who he is, coming to terms with his own sexuality, trying to fit in. Because he doesn't really feel like he fits in the trans community. He doesn't really feel like he fits in with the normal LGBT community. He finds his spot when he's able to dress up and act and stuff like that. So I really enjoy this, and thought it was one of, considering how short this was, the amount of topics that are covered and covered well is really amazing. And I was super invested in this story from the beginning to the end. So I definitely will highly recommend this one. Coming in as number 2 on my list is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This I didn't know if I would enjoy, but I end up really enjoying it. It is not super fantastical. It's sort of closer to a speculative, just contemporary with a speculative twist kind of thing. And it follows this man who has to go on a sort of inspection of this home. I've forgotten what it's called now, but they are filled with these sort of interesting, not quite human characters with some sort of supernatural abilities, and he goes in expecting the worst and trying to figure out the dirt on them, and figures out that they are all super nice people and super closer to being normal than you'd think. And just the way that it talks about the found family element, like the connection between all of the characters are just super enjoyed. And yeah, it was just very much of a hug, like getting a big hug from this book, and I was really happy about reading it. And it's definitely one I consider might be able to be one of my favorites of the year, and I'm definitely interested in reading more from T.J. Klune in the future. So coming in as number 1 on my list was Night Shadow by Sebastian de Castell. I'm super happy to have dove back into this fantasy world. I really enjoyed the first one, not as much as this one, but I definitely enjoyed it. And this one just went deeper with the characters and deeper in the world, obviously, and still it had that fun, enjoyable writing that is super easy to get into. Like, I like the writing. It's not, for me, it's not easy, like a quick read, because I read like 35 pages an hour, so it's not like it was a fast read for me. But I really enjoyed it, and I kept wanting to get back to it, and I'm really looking forward to reading on in the series. I felt like all of the characters in this just developed really interestingly, and I have a lot of thoughts about the end of it, and really excited to see what will happen. So yeah, favorite book of the quarter so far, and I was super surprised about this. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you've read. What was your favorite over the first quarter? Do you have any new recommendations to me? Have you read any of the books that I've talked about today? And what was your thoughts on them? And yeah, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video very soon. Goodbye.